Welcome to Reform My Mind Podcast.
Welcome to Reform My Mind Podcast. Here we are.
What is going on? We're finally here.
Oh my God, how did we get here?
Oh God, it's been a journey.
What a long journey.
A quick journey, actually. Yeah. It's happened, in November?
November. And here we are, end of January, launching our very first episode.
Oh my God.
How did you get me here?
Oh God. Yeah, a little background of how I got Kay here.
Yeah.
Probably just a message at midnight. Was it midnight?
Probably,
it was.
yeah.
I think it was the 18th of November that I remember now, right?
Very specific.
And I just messaged Kay and I said, listen, girl, this really crazy idea. I know it's midnight and you're probably asleep, but what do you think about starting a podcast?
I was just like, yeah. Alys, crazy ideas. Yeah, I'll start a podcast. Why not? And then the next morning I woke up and we literally had an Instagram, a YouTube. It's like Spotify opened. I was like, wow, okay, it's happening.
We're moving
it's
quick,
happening.
aren't we? Yeah.
And then you had our photo shoot booked and it was like, right, I'm in on this now. This is going ahead.
Yeah. It was so quick, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Even although the journey seemed long for us in a way of preparation and buying all the equipment and getting everything ready and just doing our own studio, because we are doing it ourselves. You know, we are busy mums. We want to be flexible to when we want to film, how we want to film. If we get an idea, we can just get in the studio and just press record.
And to be honest, I think that pretty much sums it up. If we get an idea, we run with it.
Exactly, yeah.
And I think that's what really bonded us as well, hasn't it? We're really quite similar.
In so many ways.
But should we tell everybody a little bit about ourselves?
Go
what
on.
Brought us here? So I'm Kay, and I'm a mum. First and foremost, most importantly, I'm a mum of two boys.
Very cute boys as well.
They are. And I had them when I was really quite young. Well, I was early 20s. And I've got a background in psychology, so that's really where my interest lies. Hence why we're here talking about mental health today, where our podcast kind of has come from and centres around. So I was a psychologist for a long time in the NHS, and now I am a lecturer in private practice. And I really love my job. I do. I love it so much. And I'm just really looking forward to kind of sharing this journey with everybody and just being able to share a little bit about my passion as well. Yeah. But tell us about you.
Well, I've got many passions. One of them is interior design and fashion design. I've studied this at school, but one of my biggest passion is psychology. And not a lot of people know this, but I've wanted to study psychology at university. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of on the squeamish side, so I was a bit scared of some of what comes with the whole, course and everything. But now I met Kay, so I don't have to do that. I get all the intel from here, all the little tricks. Juice. But yeah, that's pretty much my background. I originally came from Romania. I've moved here when I was about 13. I have two beautiful children like yourself. I had my first when I was 22, really young, the same age as you, really.
Yeah.
And just tackling just motherhood and just being this person that you change so much, don't you? As you in your 20s, you change anyway, but as a mother, I think when you do become a mum so young as well, it's a bit different than if you became a mum later on in life. You're a bit more wiser, you've gone through life, and it's been a bit of a journey. I'm not gonna lie, it's been ups and downs as with anything, but I think overall taking all of them lessons in all my journey and try and put everything together and navigate it really in a way of how can I improve myself. I know I've had my kids when I was really young, but it's fine. It happens to a lot of people and it's okay, but it's just knowing, like you said, how to navigate things and to put them in a way that not only helps you but helps everyone around you. And I think that's a big topic that we will be speaking about in our podcast, is mainly how to navigate your life and how to recognize certain traits and how to change things subtly, obviously.
And it's how to become the best version of yourself, isn't it, really? And that's what brought us together. So we met a year ago, wasn't it? At, so ReformMyPodcast studio, which has just been...
We met into the torture room.
The panic room.
The panic room.
Screaming in pain.
Yeah, I was probably screaming or swearing. Either way, I was doing it all.
You definitely was. Yeah, you definitely was. She's been warned as well, everybody.
I've been very warned. Even by Nicole, haven't we? It was like, you be careful.
We definitely don't want to be bleeping every 2 seconds.
No. If you saw me in the Reformer studio, it would be a lot of bleeps.
But we did. So we bonded straight away, didn't we? We got on really well as friends. But even more so, I think it wasn't just, it was the meaning behind why we were both there, wasn't it? It wasn't 100%. Just about getting fit or having a hobby. It was really about finding ourselves again. And like you said, that's going to be the main focus of our podcast. We're going to be talking about different topics. You know, how can we become the best versions of ourselves? How can we overcome challenges? How can we create a life that's more meaningful and get us where we want to be? Because we know that everybody goes through hard times, through difficult times. We've both been there ourselves. We've both had those chats that, you know, maybe you do have with your friends or maybe you don't. You know, maybe you have certain thoughts or feelings, and sometimes you just need a little bit of help or support making sense of them, because, you know, we all have those thoughts, we all have those feelings, and it's really important that we get awareness out there, and that's what we're hoping to do.
100%. I think, like what you said there, is really good to have a support system around you. But let's face it, not everyone has those really, really tight friendships, or probably not close to their family. And meeting people in your life where you can just bond with, it's like glue, isn't it? It's just getting everything together and trying to have honest conversations with someone where you don't feel judged. I think that's a big thing, which a lot of people are afraid at opening their feelings to someone that might not be your longest friend, or maybe you don't get on with your family and you don't know how to even approach such a subject. And I think it's really important that people understand that this is the aim for the podcast. We want people to be very comfortable, and it's a safe space. You know, we've all been through it. We understand, especially you with your job and everything. If anyone would understand, would be you. And it's just having that support, like you said, to just be able, you know what, I'm struggling with this and I need to talk about it, because keeping it in is not going to help you in the long run. It will maybe help you short term, but it doesn't last, does it?
It doesn't. And you know what, you're right. It's about thinking what strategies can we put in place, you know, because ultimately it is about learning coping strategies. It's about using what's within you effectively, or trying new things, because we have bad habits, we have unhealthy coping strategies, and sometimes they can work in the short term, like you've just said, but in the longer term they're going to cause us more problems. And we really want to talk about topics that are important to people. You know, we talk quite a lot about topics that are close to us, but we really want people to, you know, message us some questions, think about things that you really want us to talk about that are really meaningful for you. And all of our questions are anonymous, so it's on all over our socials how you can contact us, because it's important that we're talking about relevant things.
Some people could be obviously a bit reluctant to ask hard questions, and I totally understand that. It's only normal, it's in our nature to be a bit more reluctant. But I think knowing what me and Kay are and the way we have our conversations, when it's just me and you or with our friends, we are very open-minded when it comes to things like that. And we know we're all different. We know that we come from different backgrounds, and there's literally just no judgment. I just think people just need to be a bit more aware of how they're feeling and acknowledge it. And then as soon as you speak it, you'll feel so much better. Asking that difficult question that's been playing on your mind over and over and over again, it almost is like a relief, isn't it? When you do finally say it, it's like, oh my God, I should have done it such a long time ago. Why have I not done it?
And it's so important as well, I think, for everybody to understand this concept of mental health. You know, quite a lot of people have the impression that you've either got it or you haven't, or, you know, you're suffering from mental health problems, when in actual fact, the idea is, you know, you flip that narrative, because we've all got mental health. So we have to learn to look after it. We have to learn to nurture it. And we're not automatically born with the tools to be able to do that. It's something that we learn throughout our life. So we learn different coping strategies, different coping mechanisms to get through hard times, because ultimately, you know, we all face adversity, we all face hard times, and we think about, or we should be thinking about, our mental health on pretty much like a sliding scale. So thinking about, you know, the bottom part of the scale where, you know, everything is going well, we're coping really well, you know, we've got a really positive outlook on life. And then maybe sometimes, you know, something happens or we're a little bit stressed. We might be, you know, just coping, you know, but getting by. And then we move towards the kind of more struggling and becoming more unwell with our mental health, and it's starting to impact our day to day. And we're going to be thinking about, okay, well, what things are important for us to help maintain that healthy well-being and that healthy balance between our mind and our body, because everybody's aware of how important it is to look after your physical health. You know, if you're going to go and eat McDonald's for your breakfast, lunch and dinner, then you're going to become really unhealthy. And it's the same with your mental health.
I think you really, you just said it so right there. I think a lot of people just put too much pressure on how they look and how they come across, which is, you know, we all want to be in shape and we all want to feel great, because ultimately being in shape and working out helps you mentally.
Yeah.
But I think people forget that the mental health is actually the most important. And if you've not got it right there, then everything else kind of falls apart. Slowly, maybe, you know, you might be fit and you're doing great, but your mental health is not right or where you want it to be. And that's when, even although you're physically strong and fit, it will affect you into day to day with jobs, families, friends, everything that comes with life. And I feel like people need to put more attention to mental health and how you deal with things in difficult situations, because it's all nice when it's all going well, but let's face it, we all have hard times. So at one point you will have, I don't know, something happens in your life with your family, your kids, it can be anything. That's when you know how strong your mental health is. And people, again, like you said, they don't understand what mental health is. They think that, oh, I'm ill. And it's not the case. We all have it. It's present there. We just need to know how to nurture it and how to look after ourselves and give yourself that time that you need to have with yourself when you don't feel right.
Yeah.
And how you navigate that.
I think social media is such a big one right now.
Oh my God, 100%.
The pressure from social media really impacts people, because there's this perception of being perfect, of, you know, looking at other people's lives and thinking that they've got their shit together. Basically, they've got it all. And it can really lead people into those cycles of those real negative thought patterns. And that can be really harmful to your well-being. Once you get stuck in those kinds of negative thoughts, it can be really hard to get out of that. And that's when you start criticizing yourself, you start comparing yourself to other people, and people can really quite quickly become bitter, and that really has then an impact into other aspects of your life, your job, your family.
You start overthinking everything. Yeah. That's a big one, isn't it? Overthinking, it's a subject that's really close to my heart, and I think we all have it. It's some people overthink more than others. I'm aware of that. And that comes into play of how you manage your overthinking. How do I stay level-headed in a way of, this is not real, this is in my head, I'm overthinking about something that could potentially not happen. You know, you make these scenarios in your head and you think, oh my God, the worst is going to happen, or this is going to go wrong, which brings us into how you speak to yourself. are you positive speaking to yourself, or are you constantly being negative about your life, how you are, you know, how you look and everything? And I think the more you practice positivity, the better you get with it. It won't happen overnight, but it will be a gradual change that eventually speaking beautiful, nice things to yourself is going to end up being almost like a relief. Like, I'm fine, I'm okay. I don't have to think, oh my God, what are they going to think about me? Social media, again, anything that you post on social media. I've had my backlash with social media so many times because I'm the type of person that it's raw. Even in real life, you know that if I posted something on Instagram, it's pretty much what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling. So even I thought, oh, would people just look into it a little bit too much, or would I be judged too much? And again, the overthinking comes into play, where you think, why am I overthinking? Like, that's how I'm feeling. Why am I overthinking it?
And I'm so interested in this kind of idea of positivity and kind of manifestation and, you know, thinking positive thoughts, saying positive affirmations, because, you know, there's a lot of people out there that will just say, that's a load of rubbish. You know, what does that mean? What does that actually do? Oh, go and tell yourself in the mirror you're beautiful. How does that work? And it's, you know, I think it's really important to look at the science behind it as well.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, it's not just about being positive or, you know, faking positivity.
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah, fake it till you make it. Although, you know, there's some aspects.
It does
of
work that, you know, sometimes it does.
Yeah. What's important is that we understand how our thoughts are cultivated, really. And so there's a quote in the research that I really, really love, and it says, where attention goes, neural firing flows. And
oh, wow.
Ultimately, it's so great. It's about focusing your attention on positivity creates new neural pathways in the brain, or stronger neural pathways in the brain. So our brain is so complex, you know, and
I know.
It's amazing. You know, it used to be thought that we'd have those patterns from our childhood. Everybody talks about it, and we do. Of course, we have patterns from our childhoods, but ultimately, it doesn't mean that that's the way you're always going to be. You know, you can change the way you are. If you have some negative coping strategies or negative thoughts, for example, if you're focusing on those negative thoughts, then that's something that's going to become ingrained over time, because you're going to be strengthening those neural pathways in your brain where the negativity is. So we need to be thinking that, you know, obviously this is really surface level, there's a lot more complexity to it, but ultimately the idea behind that positive thinking and that positive mindset is that you're strengthening those
it gets
parts.
You there, doesn't it? So it's kind of like the foundation of, okay, how can I think about my life in a positive way? Your life might not be there yet, but just having those little changes every day, it will get you eventually to, instead of half the day thinking negative, you'll have less negative. Like it will just gradually go down. So it will be less negativity, less, oh, I'm not good enough. Or eventually you'll get to the point that you're like, you know what? They're there. They're always going to be there, aren't they? Your negative thoughts will always come into play whenever something goes wrong. It's your first response to, you know, how you respond to life or difficult situations. But having that practice that you've done every single day, where you do look at yourself and say, no, I'm great, this is amazing, everything's going right, you telling yourself that, so it's ingrained in your head then, so you don't you know, have as many negative thoughts.
And ultimately what we're wanting to achieve is, by practicing this, you know, or by practicing kinds of healthier coping strategies, you're more equipped to deal with things when, you know, life throws something at you. Like you said, nobody's perfect. We all have hard times. We all have difficult, stressful situations at some point in our lives. And it's about being prepared to be able to navigate through them. And I think, you know, having a positive mindset, you're automatically looking for different aspects aspects of things, so like more positive aspects of things. And it's something that we call confirmation bias. So if you've got a positive mindset, you're automatically looking for things in your day that's going to confirm your belief. That's what we do as human beings. We have this model that we are telling ourselves is true, basically. You know, we're looking through the world through our own lens, and we look for things that confirm that reality for us. So if our own reality is quite positive, you know, our glass is quite half full, we'll always flip situations. So then if something negative happens to us, we can quite easily flip it to a positive.
Yeah, you see the good thing,
you see
the good outcome that came from that.
You do. Whereas if you've got quite a negative outlook, you're automatically looking for things to confirm that negative outlook. So you'll always look at things in a more negative perspective.
Yeah, but think about it like that. Do you prepare for an exam? Do you know, when you have something going on, you always have to have that preparation. So you're not going to go into an exam without knowing what you're going to write down on paper. It's the same with mental health and being positive to yourself. It's a preparation, it's a continuous speaking nicely to yourself, say positive things, like, you know, look at the bigger picture, like this has happened today. Why has this happened? Well, maybe there's a reason for it. So you'll find out along the way why things have played out the way they've played out in your life. We all go through hard times and you just think, oh, why is this happening to me? And I almost like, I used to be that person where everything just happens to me. Like, why does this have to happen to me? It's happening for me, because at the end of the day, anything that comes in your life has got a purpose, hasn't it? So eventually, you might not understand it right now, but when you come out of that hard time, you just be like, do you know what? I know why that's happened. It makes sense now. But again, having that positive mindset will get you through those situations way much quicker rather than dragging yourself through them, basically.
It absolutely does. And do you know what? It's making me think about our first ever run of this.
I know.
And what we'd actually done, we made the biggest amateur
mistake. We didn't plug the mics in.
We actually had a whole episode filmed.
And it was so good as well.
It was so good. But we forgot to plug the mics in.
Oh my God,
you know,
honestly.
we were both devastated at first.
Yeah.
And it was about, right, okay, you know what? It doesn't matter.
We'll go again.
Us an opportunity to kind of think about what we want to say, and we'll go again.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, you just learn. It's new with any job, with any journey. It's almost like you go blinded in it, and you go, well, I don't know how to do half the things. Like, I never knew anything about equipment till today, how it works, what buttons you have to press. Like, but it's that, you know, it's like a little baby trying to walk.
I am so out my comfort zone. I am thinking, how the hell did you even get me here?
I know, it's crazy. Like, I've just said, listen, we both have these conversations anyway. Like, we every day we're our best friends, but we also have these really interesting conversations where I can take so much and, you know, put it in my own life and how to deal with things. And I just said, do you know what? We can help so many people, and it's so important that that's the goal of our podcast, is helping as many people as possible. And through our journeys, obviously, but talking about other things in life, not just us personally, but how other people react to other situations, because you could react differently than me in a situation. Something could be easier for me, or I could be like, oh, I don't know how you do this. How are you so not stressed about it? But it just comes down to have that conversation, communicate properly, and then the other half knows where you are and knows how to approach you. Okay, I'm having a bad day today. I don't know what's happening, but there's a lot on my mind. And you could just be like, yeah, let's speak. You know, you just have to have a conversation, and that happens supernatural between me and you. We don't have to go, hey, sit down, talk to me, tell me what's going on.
Can you imagine? We definitely don't need any prompts to talk.
No,
I think just in general.
I literally just walk through the door, and Kay's like, okay, I'll make you a coffee, put Alexa on, okay, like, let's do this, let's do that. But it's a matter of just It is a connection as well.
It is.
I think, again, it comes down to how well do you bond with somebody, and connecting with people on that level is the most beautiful thing, isn't it? Like,
it's amazing. And I think not enough people talk about those friendships or relationships that you meet later on in life as well. I think a lot of people, you know, there's a lot of people that are lonely out there. It's a huge issue, especially after the pandemic. And I'm not even going to go there. I don't want to talk about it. But it's important to say, you know, relationships are the biggest kind of protective factor to our overall well-being.
We need people around.
We need connection. We do. And, you know, having that bond with somebody, you know, it is amazing. And sometimes you just click with people and you just...
it doesn't matter. This is another thing, because a lot of people are like, oh, I've not got that many friends. It's not about how many friends you've got. It's about what is your relationship with those few friends that you have. Is it a relationship where you can trust them with your life? Is it a relationship where you can be honest and transparent? You know, because you can have friends, I don't know, 20 that you can't speak to, and you just think, well, what's the point in, you know, you're almost having to split yourself in so many parts to be friends with this person, go out with this person, do this and do that, and you almost forget that where is that really solid foundation that you have with someone. Too many people look at it as if, like, I have to have many friends to be popular.
Yeah.
And I just think it's not about that. It's about the quality that you have.
Quality over quantity.
There
we go. I think also...
You've just said it.
That's such an important point that you've made there about friends, though. And also that I think there's needs to be a huge recognition about people's different life stages too, because we've all got friends who we've known for such a long period of time, and I think people change, people grow, people evolve, and sometimes that can impact friendships in a really negative way, because people think, you know, oh, you've changed, oh, you know, you don't like what we used to like anymore, or like doing what
or we don't go out
used to do.
a lot, or we don't spend time. Yeah,
and you know, or that friend seems so busy all the time and they don't make time for me. And for me, such a huge part of being true to yourself is accepting other people where they're at.
They're chapters that you join people in their life are different chapters than yours. So, for example, I might be starting something and I will join your chapter where you might have done that, and you can teach me by your experience and can speak about things like this where I feel more comfortable in your presence, where, because I know you've gone through it, I get some advice, like how do I deal with things like that. And sometimes when you grow up with friends from childhood, you kind of both go at the same rate to a certain point when one of you just says, well, I want to do this, which might be different to you. Or like myself, I've had my kids at 22. None of my friends had kids when I was that age. Everyone was living their life, going to Ibiza, like, you know, but so they should, because they're in their 20s. But I was just at home with a child thinking, oh my God, my life, what's happened to my life? I can't relate to my friends that I've had in my life for such a long time. How do I navigate this? How do I... And my biggest, like, I would say what happens to me in situations like that, I isolate a lot. So I didn't know how to speak my feelings and say, I really feel sad that you girls go out without me while I'm at home, you know, with my child, like not sleeping well, like I'm overwhelmed, I've just given birth, I'm a new person basically. And it's hard to have those conversations when you're 20, because that's another thing, like it's all about being honest and communicating, but your maturity in your 20s is not going to be the same as in your 30s. It's a whole decade of life that you've lived and learned. That how can you expect to sometimes have those difficult questions, ask those difficult questions, or say to your mate, oh, can you come around and stay with me and have a cup of tea instead of going out? Do you know what I mean? What I'm saying?
I totally get it. And, you know, people may never get to the point where they feel comfortable to have those conversations either. And it's about being mindful of just checking in on people too, but also that acceptance that people don't go through life stages at the same time. And just because maybe your friends are doing different things than you doesn't mean that you still can't be friends, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
It means that maybe you have to work a little bit harder to maybe meet up outside of different interests, for example.
Yeah.
Or just acknowledging that, you know what, in actual fact, this is a life stage that I'm going through right now. And I know that maybe in a year or two, you know, when maybe my baby's growing up a little bit more, or my friend's baby's growing up a little bit more, you know, we can get back to doing things, because people have other priorities too. And I think a lot of the time some people can take things personally, you know, and it's about, you touched on it earlier on, we can't control other people. You know, we can never control what other people think about us or about their own perceptions of things, but what we can control ultimately is our reaction. So when we're thinking about, you know, we're always going to be triggered by something, but it's about giving yourself that time, that reflection on how do I want to respond in this situation, or how do I really feel about this, and is this bothering me? Why is this bothering me? Is this bothering me because of that particular person? Or in actual fact, is this triggering something else
inside of me? Yeah. That's a big one, I think, because it's, you know, we all talk about triggers on, I'm getting triggered. And I'm starting to hate this word trigger. And red flags and whatever they call them out there. Red flag.
You just see it
I'm
everywhere.
a walking red flag. Like, what are you on about? Like, you're not. You're just getting triggered by something that either is inside of you that you might have not managed before. So, for example, you've brought it up, control. That's my biggest red flag, trigger, whatever you want to call it. I don't deal well with somebody trying to control me. And it's not the fact that I'm a rebel and I want to do this and I don't want to, you know, say what I'm doing. It's a matter of, you shouldn't have to control me. Like, why do you have to control every aspect of my life to the point that I'm just feeling like, oh my God, like I can't take a step without you knowing about it. And again, it almost makes you doubt yourself, because you think, am I doing something wrong? Like, am I being not understanding enough? Or again, having that kind of communication with someone to say, listen, this is my boundary. You've stepped over it. Let's have a chat about it, because that is obviously coming from somewhere.
Yeah.
It's not just out of the blue or out of nowhere.
I think, you know, that's so important that we have that level of self-awareness. And ultimately, it's about you being aware of your boundaries, what's kind of overstepping the mark. You know, if being controlled for you is a big trigger, ultimately it's about thinking, okay, well, what are the elements of control here? Because there is absolutely non-acceptable kind of things that you wouldn't expect in a relationship and should never be there.
Yeah.
But it's also about communication, like you said. It's about a person saying, you know what, I'm not happy with this, I'm not happy with you doing that. And then the other person then has a choice. So it's not about controlling anybody else or the situation, because you'll never be able to do that. So you're able to communicate your feelings. Yeah, you might not feel okay about that situation, but ultimately you're not going to be able to stop that person doing what they want to do.
Yeah.
You give your opinion, and then they're able to make a choice. And if they make a choice that you don't like, well, then you've got a choice to make.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important that the message here is, you can only control your own actions, you can only control your own feelings, and really focus your attention on being able to understand yourself and understand your triggers. And you know, you said before about red flags and triggers, and it's so interesting because one of our questions came in, didn't it, about, is being triggered a toxic trait?
Yeah, that's a good question, guys. And bear in mind, with these questions, me and Kay were just like, how have we got so many questions? We were overwhelmed, in all seriousness, because we genuinely thought we were going to get like, 3-4 questions, like what's your favorite color, or like, I don't know, what's your favorite sport? But we got some amazing, like, quite thorough questions.
I was so impressed. And the level of support as well that we've had off everybody has been so amazing.
Honestly, we're so grateful.
Really are. It was so amazing. And I think the questions really blew us away though. So this question of, is being triggered a toxic trait? What would you think about that? Obviously,
it's a really hard one because, like, again, we'll go back control. Yeah, that's my trigger. In all honesty, I don't get triggered by many things, but that's one of my biggest triggers. Is it a toxic trait? I think it's a bit of both. Yeah, I think it can be. What do you think?
I don't think being triggered is a toxic trait. And the reason why is because we're all triggered. And we're all triggered by different things. Being triggered is, in actual fact, a really normal human emotion. It
is an emotion, isn't it?
Well, it triggers an emotion, but ultimately it's the way our brains are wired. Our brains are wired to react and respond to situations. We're biologically made that way. So ultimately, being triggered is, it's evolutionary, basically. It triggers us to respond. It's the response that can be, I would say, and I don't like the word toxic, but it's the response, I think,
how are you responding
or not, and that's what we can control. So being triggered is not toxic, it's normal, but how we can control how we then respond to things is what we can control.
Yeah, that's a big one, isn't it? Because I could be reacting in a horrible manner to control, but what I could do again is be like, okay, I know I'm triggered, I can feel it, but how I can show that other person that is triggering me that I don't have to act in a toxic way.
Yeah.
Or like blow up, or like have an argument, or like, why are you doing this and why are you doing that? I think it's like learning how to deal with being triggered, like you said, but having the best reaction to it in the way you can do it. Obviously, some people might not be able to do it at the beginning. They might be like, I can't do this. This is horrible. But it's mainly just acknowledging that you're triggered, and then think about how you're reacting, how you're responding.
That's it. It's key. And there's so much out there at the moment on kind of doing the inner work, finding your spiritual path, finding the real you. And again, quite a lot of people will say, oh, that's just rubbish. It's just, this, that, and the other. But it is just as basic as taking a really good look at yourself and recognizing, okay, well, what does trigger me off? Okay, why might that be? And those can be difficult questions to ask. We may have ingrained patterns of thoughts or behaviors or responses that we really don't like thinking about. And ultimately, that's what doing the inner work means. It's about really looking inside yourself and thinking, okay, well, maybe I do respond in a certain way. I'm triggered by somebody's behavior, but I can't control that behavior. But my response maybe isn't the best to that behavior. And it's not about meeting, aggression with aggression, for example, or it's not about meeting control with control or rebellion with control. It's about, okay, well, what's the best way I can respond in this situation that communicates how I'm feeling and why maybe I'm triggered by this. And that is how you start to break those negative cycles. It's identifying those patterns of behaviors or responses within yourself and thinking, okay, well, how can I change that? And how can I change it in a way that's going to be more beneficial for me?
Yeah, it's like a give and take, isn't it? Because you have to suss the situation and think, okay, well, they're being a bit too much for me right now. But is gauging of if I react the same as they're reacting, there's not going to be a good outcome out of this, let's face it. So maybe you then, the one that's acknowledged it first, because not always you get two people that acknowledge their behavior at the same time and being okay with it. There's always one that's ahead and being like, hey, this is not okay. Hey, this is not okay.
Hey, Kay, this
Hey,
is
Kay.
not okay. This is not okay right now.
This is not okay. But it's saying like, okay, well, I'm going to tone it down. I'm not going to shout at you because you're trying to do this. And let's see where we can go from here. But I just feel like there's one that always has to be more mature in the situation and take that leap of faith and being, I'm going to speak my mind. Either you like it or you don't, but at least I'm being honest. I'm big on being honest and super transparent with someone, because how would they know where they stand with you if you're not?
I think that's something that we really have in common as well. And I think, you know, again, if we're thinking about how do we communicate, is so important, because sometimes I think, am I being too honest right now? And there is an element of that as well, isn't there? You know, I'm really big on speaking my mind and how I feel about things. But sometimes I think it's, how do you deliver that message? And I can reflect back and think, should I have said that? Should I have maybe said that in a different way? And we're only human at the end of the day. You know, no one's perfect. It's about always continuously striving to be better and to be kinder as well. That's such a huge one. You know, I always try and be kind, but, you know, we are only human as well.
But some people can be more sensitive than others. I think that's a good thing to mention, because your honesty to me means the world, and I would rather, I can handle someone even if it was like a bit more blunt. I rather have that coming towards me and I know where I am. I really struggle to deal with people that, not that surface level, but that don't really say what they mean straight away. So basically, I just think, I don't know, are you upset? Are you not? Like, I need to know. Like, I like just pure, just throw it at me. Just say it as it is. Do you know what? I might get in a mood. I might do and be like, oh, that was a bit. But at least I know that it's been said, and I now can go back and think about that. And I think that's another thing. Yeah, gauge the situation. If you do have a friend or family member that is a bit more on the sensitive side, maybe don't go at them with the, you know, throw like rawness at them. Like, you know.
At least everyone knows what they're going to get out of us too. Yeah, let's apologise in advance.
I think all my friends and family know exactly what I'm like by now, so they know that if they ask me for my opinion, I do say, do you really want my opinion, or do you want me just to say that you look great? You know, like for example, when we went on a night out a couple of weeks ago, you were wearing this dress and I just looked at you and I went, no, we need to change. And it was almost like just being honest with your friend and just say, no, you're not going out like this, just because I'm trying to be nice to you and be like,
oh, you look nice. Oh, you look nice.
Yeah, like I know you love that dress, but maybe not for tonight. We'll change as many times as you want until we get it right.
No, I wasn't. I was actually like, right, yeah, let's change the dress.
No, but it's like, again, obviously it comes down to like how close you are with someone, and I know that if I have that conversation with you, you're not going to take it the wrong way.
Not.
But again, someone else might be like, what a bitch. Why are you saying that? Well, you're saying that I don't look great. But it's true though. Just be honest.
Yeah.
They might turn around and be like, do you know what, actually, I like, because it, I don't know, it makes me feel great. Then that's fine. But if you asked me, does it look right or not, then you're going to get the answer, aren't you?
You're going to get it. You're going to get it.
Oh. No, it looks shit. Change now. You're not coming out like this with me.
Here's the real Alys right now.
But that's what we're like, and you just have to learn. You know, your friends might have traits like this. You love them for who they are and for their honesty and everything. And half the times, the one thing that I appreciated when I met you.
Oh, here we go.
Oh my God. It was just the level of kindness that you have towards me, but being able to also be honest, not just nicey. It was more like, no, she's really kind, but she can also tell me something in an honest way where I can take that and just you know, process it rather than just, oh, she's just saying that because she's just trying to be nice and like, or please me or whatever, or like make me feel better. I just think sometimes you need those friends in your life where they just say, listen, I know you're going through a hard time, but I am here to support you in the best way. I'm not here just to say what you want to hear, because that's again another thing, that just hearing constantly what you want to hear, what's in the back of your head, is not always the most healthiest way of dealing with things.
People pleasing, that's such a huge thing. You know, people feel as though in order to be liked, oh, they've got to people please.
Oh, I know.
But we can come to that. We can have a whole episode on that. I think, you know, that's really kind of you to say that. Thank you. Because
you're welcome, babe.
You're welcome, babe. You know, do you know what? Actually, that really resonates with me, because funnily enough, that's the exact reason what really drew me to you, is just how genuine you were, and that genuine connection between us as well. I know we're being all sentimental now.
I know. Well,
also I'm gonna bring the tone down. I'm gonna lower the tone now, which we do quite a lot. I just thought, who is that girl effing and blinding in this sacred space of the Pilates studio? I thought, I want to be her friend.
It's me. It's me, guys.
It's me.
It's like I've got a reputation now, haven't I? Like, I'm the girl that speaks her mind, or what everyone feels the same, but they're not saying. And even I sometimes, I'm in the middle of an exercise and I go, is everyone feeling this, or am I just losing my mind? Why is everyone so quiet? And as soon as you say that, have you noticed how more comfortable the girls are to just let it all out and just be like, yeah, it hurts so well. I'm not gonna swear.
Yeah.
Ooh, that was really close.
You've actually done really well.
That was
to get
close.
This far.
Yeah,
I think I swore before you, actually, which is that's a big thing.
But listen, I am speaking my mind. I'm feeling like this or like that, and I think that it's kind of, people appreciate that,
and that's what you're going to get with us on this podcast. Do you know what? The bloopers reel will be funny, but no, that's what you're going to get with us on this podcast, is just real, all. Oh my god, real, authentic. Us, basically.
I love that word. You've just mentioned my favorite words, authentic. It's one of, you know, if anyone asked me what's your favorite word, would be authentic. I think it's one of them words that just says so much, doesn't it, in one word?
Yeah. Well, being your authentic self is ultimately, again, really, really important for your well-being. Being true to who you are, not being
it's a blessing. Pleaser. I think being able to be authentic and not care what people think. Obviously, to a certain level, you won't care, but it's who I am. If you don't like who I am, that's fine. You're entitled to your own opinions. But at the end of the day, I don't want to change who I am authentically just because you want me to be different.
And you shouldn't have to either.
Or feel the need that you have to.
But there's a lot in that, isn't there? And I think there's a lot around self-compassion, self-esteem, self-acceptance, and also really thinking about what your values are. You know, what type of person do you really want to be, or what type of partner do you really want to have? You know, what does your perfect life look like beyond the superficial things? You know, we're not talking here, oh, well, I'd love the big house or the nice car, or, you know, I want to have 3 children, or this, that, or the other. It's about what are the values that you want to live by. Do you want honesty? Do you want integrity? Do you want somebody to really validate your feelings, have you back, you know, trust, be able to trust somebody, and just have that honest relationship where you can be yourself without judgment, without fear, or without that, you know, self-criticism creeping in. And we're going to have our own episodes on probably lots of those topics, particularly with Valentine's Day coming up.
Valentine's Day's coming. Yeah,
we're going to do a special, aren't we, of a couple of episodes on relationships.
I think we're going to keep it to the whole month of Feb. I think it's important because relationship is such a complex subject. It's so much to it, attachment styles. There's so much that comes into play.
Can't wait to get into
I know, but it's one of them things that I think needs to be spoken about in a way of, in a calm environment where you can really unpick, like, subjects and traits and attachments and things like that. And it's the best time as everyone's coupled up, or
or maybe not.
Or maybe not.
maybe happily uncoupled as well.
Yeah, and that's absolutely fine. Valentine's Day coming, you don't have to be depressed that you're not with somebody, because that's another thing that I've seen so many TikToks at the moment where they go, oh yeah, Valentine's Day's coming, and there's one, obviously because I follow F1, so it's like a big thing for me. It's like, oh, I'll just be watching like the opening of the F1 for the new season out there, like eating popcorn. And you know what, you have to look at it like, it's fine. It's not your time yet. It's absolutely okay. You don't have to be upset about it, but do be happy. Be happy for those people that are in a loving relationship and they are going to post pictures about getting engaged, or I don't know, she got me this or this lovely dinner, and be okay with it. Don't be bitter, because there's nothing worse than sitting there and being bitter and sending that bad vibe towards somebody just because they're at that level in their life.
But that really ties in quite nicely with what we were saying at the very beginning, those negative thought patterns, those negative thought processes. So if you are sat there and you are thinking, oh, who do they think they are? Oh, look at them posting all this, that and the other. And you quickly get into that cycle then, don't you? And it breeds negative thoughts and being quite self-critical. And it's really about taking a step back again and thinking, okay, well, I'm quite triggered by that content or what that person's posted, but really, why is that? What is it that's telling me about myself? And understanding that. But we really want to know what other people think, don't we? Really, what they want to hear us talking about. So relationships is going to be our topic for Feb. So we want to hear those questions.
I know. I'm looking forward to the questions that will come in, because I think it will be a bit of a... Obviously, we have questions or we want to speak about certain specific topics, but at the same time, your view might be completely different, the listener. So it's important that you do ask questions, and no question is a silly question, guys. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Like, even if it's something as silly as, I don't know, I could give you endless examples, but just ask it. If it's there, ask the question.
And it's going to be completely anonymous as well.
Yeah, we won't, unless you say, I want to be mentioned, I will mention your name. But if you don't want to be mentioned, you will never be mentioned. So don't be scared that, oh, is she going to say my name just because she saw my name or my tag or whatever? No, we're not doing this here. It's a safe space,
it's a safe space, and it's important.
But I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be interesting because we know a bit of our history, with relationships and everything. And it's important to have this conversation and bring it to the table and just be like, listen, hey, it's fine. We all go through it. We've all gone through a bad or good relationship at some point in our life. We're not perfect. And I mean, have you ever heard someone not going through something quite tricky in a relationship? Because I haven't.
And, I think people know what to expect now. It's raw.
God, yeah.
You're going to hear us talking, quite frankly.
Quite frankly, yeah. But that's, again, it just brings real subjects into play, rather than just being so blasé about it and just be like, oh, yeah, everything's going to be fine, or just this and that. It's life. It's hard. It's meant to be hard. It's not, our life is not meant to be like this smooth ride. You do have those like really horrible bumps in your life when you think, oh no, what's happened here? But again, bringing what we've spoken about before is how to navigate everything and how to deal with it. And that's why we're here, to hopefully help you in your day-to-day life, how you navigate things and how you deal with difficult situations.
That's so true. And I think as well, so the main aim of the podcast really is to raise awareness of all of the common things that we all go through, being human and having those shared experiences, but really understanding ourselves. And, we're also really want to raise awareness for local charities too. We've pushed ourselves out of our comfort zone with the podcast. Majorly. but we really want to continue this theme, don't we? So this was a little bit of a resolution of ours for January. It was, how can we really push ourselves out of our comfort zone? And we're both big adrenaline junkies too.
Oh my God.
So we're both a little bit crazy when it comes to that.
A little bit. You're toning it down there. We're crazy when it comes to things like that.
We are. So we are hoping to raise money for local charities, aren't we? We really want to drive some awareness to local charities. So
it's really important, because even although there's big, massive charities out there, I feel like the little ones need the most support, and raising awareness and raising money for everyone to be able to look after their charities, because that's important, isn't it? Especially for local charities. Please, please, please get in touch with us. Like, we will be checking our DMs and everything. So if you know anyone that has a charity, or know of someone that you've heard, just please let us know. We want to look through them.
I know there's loads of amazing people doing amazing things out there, but maybe just not getting the awareness that they need, the awareness. So we're going to do some crazy things just because we are a bit crazy anyway.
And you can enjoy that. Watching it.
Maybe I won't too much, but we're going to be hopefully getting some sponsorship that we can then donate to charity.
100%.
For doing some crazy stuff. But I think, should we go to some questions there?
I do have a few questions. There's one that stood out to me a lot. It's I think it's my favorite question out of all of them. It's saying here, what is one piece of advice you have for someone going through a hard time?
Oh, that's really difficult.
It's a hard one, isn't it?
It is a hard one, because it sounds like such a simple question.
It's not.
But there's so much to it. What hard time is for somebody could be so different to somebody else. But ultimately, I guess it's just the idea that, you can get through it, and you will get through it at some point. It's about keeping your mind focused on, keeping yourself safe, keeping yourself well, keeping those connections with other people, those important relationships, being able to allow people to support you, and hopefully being able to communicate that you're maybe not feeling so great.
See, my take on that was a bit different. I am always been the type of person I was like, you have to go through it and you have to feel everything, which you do. I think that comes up with acknowledging what you're feeling. But I think also a lot of people forget that it's not just about going through it and dealing with it. You have to make sure that you look after yourself in the meantime, because if you're really, really, really going through it, you need to be kind to yourself and not just be like, yes, there's no other way, otherwise I'm not going to be able to go through it. It's hard when you're in the middle of it all to stay resilient or stay, focused, and things like this can again trigger people in different ways. How, like, staying resilient, that's a big word, like resilience. Okay, you can be so resilient to something, but to something else you might not be as resilient. Does that put you off from trying, to better yourself because you're not as resilient?
Resilience is such a complex word as well. So it's not just something we have or we don't have. Some people are more resilient than others, but resilience ultimately is the layers of coping strategies that you have. So it's thinking about, it's not just an attribute or a quality. It's about those layers of positive coping strategies that you've built up over time that you can put together to get you through a hard time. And, I think that's important that people understand that, because it's not just going to be easy. It's not just being, I can't get through this, I'm not resilient enough, or I've never been able to do this. You can, and you will, and it's about finding what works for you too, because what works for somebody else, just because somebody else has got through this, doesn't mean that you're going to experience it in the same way. So it's about finding your way and what feels safe and what feels right.
Which brings me into the next question. How do you navigate challenges and stay resilient in the face of adversity?
Oh my God, like,
Who's asked that question?
Who's asking those questions? That is a great question.
We're
by
just
the way.
speaking about resilience.
I'm really impressed with that question, because this is quite challenging for me now. So I feel like this is 3 questions in one.
3 in 1. There's a 3 in 1, guys.
How do you stay resilient
in the face of adversity?
In the face of adversity. Well, it's exactly what we've just said. It's about acknowledging that everybody's going to go through adversity at some point. It's building those healthy habits, those healthy coping strategies. The healthy mindset will help you. It will hopefully make it a little bit easier if you do face adversity. But navigating through it's about harnessing your strengths. It's about thinking about your support around you. It's about trying to find maybe the small things in the day that can keep you positive. You know, quite a lot of the time when we're going through a hard period, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, and it's really easy to feel as though everything's fallen on top of you. And it can be hard to see a way out of that. So, you know, thinking, oh, I'm going to get through it. It's sometimes not as easy as that. So try and find those small, hopeful moments in the day that you can hold on to, that'll just get you through that particular day or that particular time, that particular hour. And yeah,
we all face adversity, don't we, at some point in our life, in different ways. It can be culture, it can be any type of different. We're all different, so how can you put everyone in the same box? Like, you know, somebody might be struggling with their background or where they're from, and they can't quite put themselves out there, you know, with a different environment. How at that point do you go and say, well, I have to be kinder to myself, because I can't just constantly just actively think that I'm going to be resilient to everything. You gotta realize that you're gonna have hard times. Like you said, just take those little steps in everyday life where you're gonna be able to cope with it better, and how you approach it and everything else. It's such a big, complex question, that, isn't it?
It is.
It's hard to cope with things like that when they get thrown at you in life.
And we're not here to kind of gloss over anything either. We're not here to go, oh, you'll be okay. You'll be okay. I think that's such a harmful...
That is such a surface level thing to say. I'm sorry,
it can be so harmful to people. And sometimes you just want to say that because you feel uncomfortable, or you don't know what to say. Oh, you'll be fine. You'll be okay. You'll get through it because you're strong. In actual fact, are you really validating that person's feelings, that person's experience in that moment? Sometimes it's just
you make it worse. Sometimes
you can do. It's about meeting that person where they're at, and, you know, going, you know what, actually that sounds like really awful, and, you know, and understanding, or trying at least to understand and acknowledge where they're at.
Yeah, I remember me and Kay having this really honest conversation. It was over the phone, and then obviously we saw each other the next day. And I said to her, I don't know what it is. She messaged me, you've been a bit quiet, you okay? And I was like, oh, I'm going through it a little bit. It's just a lot on my mind, and I'm on my own without the kids. And what I've realised that is usually when I'm put in situations where I'm not busy, or I'm not doing something for the kids, or dropping them off, because I feel like I'm just their taxi half the time. Just dropping them off and picking them up from somewhere.
I think loads of people can resonate with that.
But I just had a bit of a moment where I was sitting down on my sofa on my own. There was actually no music on, because usually I'd have the music blasting, and that's another thing for me there's like background noise. I don't have to think or even be present half the time, just be there. But I just felt really uncomfortable, and I got really emotional about certain things. And I said to Kay, is this normal? I don't know how to navigate every time I'm without the kids. I don't know what to do with myself, and I can't just sit there and just be okay with just being on my own, just chilling. Like, I'd almost feel like guilty because I'm just relaxing, or I'm organising my house, or I'm sorting everything out, or doing these little jobs. But it's mainly when I'm on my own and there's no background noise and everything, that's where it all comes out. And I just feel like what my message here is, it's okay not to be okay in those situations. And if you need to cry, do so. If you need to go and have a nap, go and have a nap. You know, you need to be okay with being in that feeling.
Yeah.
And try and stay in that feeling as much as possible, or as often as you can. So then when it does come back, you're not like, oh,
what is this?
I need to go and organise my whole house.
What is this?
Just to keep busy.
That's quite funny, actually, because you do that. You
Oh,
organise
I know. If I said
everything.
to Kay, I've organised this, she's like, oh, she's
Okay?
stressing about
Yeah.
something.
You know what? It's so funny though. I actually done this to you the other day, and because I knew exactly what you do. This is so funny. So I've just got a new kitchen, and it is. I mean, I'm not the most organised person.
Yes, you
anyway.
are.
No, not
You
really.
are.
But anyway, so I just done this to Alys. I was like, look at my kitchen cupboards. Look how messy and unorganised it is in here. And I opened the cupboards because I could see you going. And I was thinking, she's going to organise this for me. She's going to come back one day and be like, I need to sort Kay's cupboards. It's just playing on my mind overnight. Whereas I'm sat there going, it works.
She's doing it. I was like,
works.
right, so you need these space dividers. You need this and that. And she was like, yeah, it's worked. It's worked. That's a trick for you guys.
Bingo.
If you've got an organised friend, that's what you have to do. Bring them over, show them the mess, and just hope for the best.
Reverse psychology, baby. It works.
There you go. At its finest, literally at its finest. Oh,
But you know, you've just actually brought another topic in there, which I just think will be great for another episode. That avoidance. So that keeping yourself busy. So like you bum. Because in actual fact, it's easier for you to push uncomfortable feelings away.
I think we all do it, don't we?
We do all do it. We definitely
to a
do.
certain level. Maybe sometimes you do it more than some people do it more than others, but I think we all try and stay busy. Don't you hear people, I just have to stay busy, or like if you ask for advice or you're going through a breakup, or I don't know, it doesn't have to be a relationship romantically. It can be like, oh yeah, just keep busy, you'll be fine. And you just think, well, does that mean that I'm just going to have to just be continuously busy so I don't have to think about my own thoughts?
Well, what it means...
That's not healthy advice, I don't think.
It's not, because you will eventually burn out. So you just cannot keep going and avoiding situations or avoiding feelings. But I'm really looking forward to exploring that topic.
That's
I could talk about that all day. Yeah,
there's another question that I try to avoid it, but I can't, because Kay's going to call me out on it if I don't ask this question. There's the question of, what's your biggest ick? Now, I don't like the word ick. It's already giving me the ick just by saying it.
Ick's my biggest ick.
But it came up, guys. I think about 20 people have asked the same question. I was like, at this point, I was like, I'm going to have to put it down in my notes as the question to ask, because otherwise it's just going to be silly if I don't. But what is your biggest ick?
Oh, God. You threw it on my toes then. What's my biggest ick? Like on a surface level?
No, ick.
Ick.
Like the thing that gives you the ick.
Well, actually, I'm just going to say on a surface level, because this is really weird.
Yeah.
I feel this is quite weird, but whistling.
Whistling?
Oh my God. Don't ask me why.
Whistling?
No, don't do it, please. I'm just like, oh.
I know, because I is it any whistling, or is it happy whistling?
It's any whistling. It's like as soon as you just go.
You can't even do it. She can't do it. She can't do it.
It just
Oh
makes
my
me
God.
go.
Do you know this is the first time? I've never heard anyone having that ick before, whistling.
Yeah, now you've heard
And
it
do you know
now.
what? I whistle a lot on my own at home. Now I can't.
No.
I'd be like, I'm giving Kay the ick.
I literally go with someone. If someone whistles around me, it's like every hair stands up, and I'm like,
what are you doing?
Who is that?
Who is that whistling? How dare you whistle in my house or in my presence?
Triggers me.
Trigger.
It triggers me.
Oh God, any others? Have you got any others, would you say?
You know, people being unkind, just it doesn't
For no
cost.
reason.
Yeah, it just doesn't cost a lot to be kind. And yeah, I don't know, that's a hard one. I'm going to think about that and come back. But definitely people who are unkind is a big one.
Oh God, I don't.
What's your biggest ick?
Oh God, I've got it's a big one for me if you do that thing, like you with whistling. If you've done that, you're kind of out the door, like don't come back again. But don't think I can physically do it, but is when people like they in a conversation with you and they clean the corner of their mouth. That one that you've just done then. I don't know what it is, and I know that it happens sometimes that you do have something in the corner. She keeps doing it. She's doing it just to annoy me.
You do realise now, though, that anyone who walks past you is going to do it, and everyone's going to whistle at me.
Exactly, yeah. Oh, you'll be like, hey, babe. Woo!
I didn't actually mean it in that way.
I know, yeah. They'll be whistling you. That's a good one. Guys, please do the whistle when you see babe, please. But now that's my biggest ick, I think. It's just that. It's the motion. I don't know what it is.
Such a weird thing.
Because you stop and your mouth, don't do it. Like, if you need to do it, at least turn yourself around if you're around me, because I can't ever see you the same after you've just done that. I will genuinely be judging you forever.
That is literally such a weird thing to say.
It is, but it genuinely, like you said, it makes me a bit sick. It's like,
a sicky ick.
That's a sicky ick.
Ugh.
And my other ick, like I would say that it's kind of vital. Like, if you do that for me, I'd put it on the lines of disrespect a little bit. Is, you know, when you're having a conversation with someone, it doesn't have to be deep. It can be surface level, and they pick up their phone.
Oh God, yeah.
Like, imagine me now. You just having a conversation with me, and I'm just like, yeah.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
And
you
so
just
annoying.
think, hang on a minute. Do you even want to be here? Like, I understand that we all have work commitments and your children or school might be ringing you or whatever. But you can just say, babe, can I just pick this up? Like, it's really important. But I'm letting you know, I'm communicating with you that I have to pick up my phone, not just flicking through Instagram while you're having a conversation with me.
Yeah. And just really surface
And it's just
level.
so disrespectful. I think it just shows a lot of your character. Like, you don't pay attention to your surroundings and the people that you spend time with. And it's just disrespectful, guys. Don't do it. It's really just don't. At all.
Not validating the other person.
Yeah,
at
you
all.
feel like unheard and unseen. It's such a horrible place to put another person. That from such a simple thing that you could do, just pay attention to who you're talking to.
Being present, I think that's a huge one. We can have a whole episode on being present and being mindful and how that really improves your well-being.
It does
as well.
affect a lot.
Huge.
You not being present when you're speaking to someone or spending time with your children or doing an activity or anything, it can be applied to anything in life. Not being present, not only that it's bad for you because you're not living your present life and you're not getting to enjoy, and then you just look back at it and be like, oh yeah, that was fun, but I don't remember even being in that mental state of being present. I just think that if you can take anything from this episode as well, it's just be present, guys. Just spend those times with your favorite people, quality time. You know, pay attention to, you know, we don't live the same moment twice.
No, we don't.
We just don't. Even if you want to recreate it, you will never have that experience again. Why would you jeopardize that by just being on your phone?
And I think as well, so important, part of being present is being able to actively notice how you're going to respond to that situation. Reflect on, okay, what am I feeling right now, and how do I want to present myself? Yeah. And that helps us with those triggers too.
100%. Yeah. But yeah, I think this is a bit of a wrap, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it actually, and I hope everyone else has too.
Yeah, obviously.
But yeah, we're going to be following similar
So
structure.
next episode would be mainly based on relationships, as is the end of the month and February is coming, Valentine's Day is coming, and we've got an exciting shoot as well with our really good friend Luke. I love you, Luke. Cheeky little, I'm not going to say it. But yeah, we're going to have a lovely shoot with him and just have some nice content for you guys for Valentine's coming. Just some fun, why not? Live in the moment, you know, enjoy every little second.
But hopefully everybody has liked it. Like, subscribe.
Oh, she's
I'm on it. I'm on it.
Yeah, obviously it's a bit annoying to mention this, but you do have to subscribe to see our next video coming up and when it's out. But we will be posting every Sunday, every week. So, yeah.
Yeah, where will we be posting?
And we will be posting on YouTube and Spotify for now. We will be on Patreon later on down the line, but mainly YouTube and Spotify.
Mainly YouTube and Spotify.
Yeah.
And people can access that through our Instagram, through our TikTok.
All the links will be in our bio and everything, and you will probably get sick of us from posting so much on social media. But yeah, thanks for joining, guys, and thanks for being here. And hopefully we'll see you next time.
It's been a pleasure. And that's a wrap.
Bye.